Today's guest on the LewLewLounge, or in the LewLewLounge, is from Virginia Beach, Virginia. Went to Hampton University, then went to the Denver Broncos before heading north to the Hamilton Ticats. Then we became teammates in 2011 with the Calgary Stampeders. Was a CFL All-Star in 2013. Now is back as the receiver coach of the Calgary Stampeders. Welcome to the show, Marquay McDaniel. What's up, brother?
What's going on, Nick?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Just doing what we got to do, just working from home and just trying to get everything going. Hopefully we got a season this year.
Yeah, man, I hope so. I hope it turns out to where we can get some football in. I definitely look forward to it, as a big CFL fan. But has the preparation been different for you on this front? I mean, this is the first time you were assistant last year in Montreal, and this time you got the reins to the group. What's the preparation like for you?
This was my first full off season, especially as far as in the pro ranks. I had never. Last year I got to Montreal late because I don't know if you know they had some staff changes right after training camp. So yeah, that's when I came. I came after the first game. So it's good to have a whole off season under my belt, doing the scouting stuff, scouting for the CFL draft, scouting for the global guys, the playbook meetings. So this was my first full off season, and it kind of just gained a lot of experience from it, right? Stuff I hadn't done before, but stuff that if I had to do it again next year, I think I would be better at. But
yeah,
hey, I've been going with it and enjoying the process.
Yeah, it's always that learning curve, man. On the field, it's natural. But the learning curve of in the classroom of putting everything together for the guys. And one thing that helps you is a lot of the guys personally. Some of the guys, KJ was there, Eric Rogers. We were all teammates for a couple years, right? So how's it going to be going back working with those guys that they know you and that you have a good rapport with?
Yeah, it'll be good. Even guys like Richie Sindani was here in camp one year I was here. Michael Klukas was here 1 year and then went back to school. So, those guys have been around me. Those guys know my approach to football and the game as far as, off the field in meetings and on the field when it's time to practice. So, but even the new guys, right? I mean, it's just building a relationship with those guys and just, the vets are going to set that standard in Calgary. You know how it is.
Yep.
When I got to Calgary, y'all guys had set the standard. All we had to do is watch how y'all do things and just go off of that. So I'm just looking forward to getting out there with those guys just because it's a lot of talent. I think from the American to Canadian, Calgary always has talent. That's just what they do, right? They keep rebuilding. But, man, we got some good talented American guys as well as Canadians. So, like I said, hopefully we can get things going here in a couple months.
Yeah. I like y'all's receiving roster, man. You have a good mix of speed. You got some great hands. You got guys that can just plug and play. A lot of those guys from the Canadian side, I feel that can play in multiple different positions, not just at Z. A guy like Klukas that can burn up the field. You put him, I guess it's the R in Calgary, you know what I'm saying, in the middle to the field, man. That dude can do so much, right, as far as with his speed and different thing like that. And you got Colton as well, man. I like y'all's roster. It's a great one. You hear anything about what's going on right now? I know as coaches you don't have any representation, so you kind of just hear a little bit from the players, a little bit from the front office. What are you hearing, and how is it looking for you?
The last we heard was yesterday. The commissioner came out and said, just I think it already had been said in Calgary as far as nothing will happen before September. I think that was just a league-wide, announcement yesterday. That's all I've heard. So, like I said, I'm hoping it is a season. It would be kind of weird if it wasn't. It would just be different different, right? You're just so used to, especially for me, the last since 2009 I came up here. It's been a CFL season, and I've been, like you say, even if when I was at McMaster, I was a fan and ended up playing the last couple of years, but I will always be a fan of football in general, but the CFL. So as a fan, it would be kind of weird, and then it would kind of suck. My first year, being a receiver, a full-time receiver coach, to not get out there and kind of put my stamp on things. That's kind of one thing I was kind of looking forward to. I kind of took the back seat and just played my role in a couple other places, but now I kind of get to do things how I see them and how I want them. So hopefully we'll get that chance.
Yeah. I mean, are y'all going to get the opportunity to get on the field with your receivers that are there in Calgary, or are they going to open it up for you to be able to have that right to get out on the field and do some stuff? I mean, I've trained kids out on the grass, right? So to be able to get on the field, let them get kind of a sense of how you do things and what you expect. Is that a possibility over the next couple of months, or how's that work?
I would think so if they opened up the fields, but if not, there's an indoor place. A few guys that were in town trained at prior to this whole COVID-19 thing. There were guys training, a couple of receivers out here training at an indoor facility. So hopefully, if stuff opens back up, definitely get a chance to get out there with those guys.
Yeah.
Or you would think or hope that if the field open up with the weather starting to get a little nicer out here, that I definitely get on the field with those guys if I'm allowed, and that'll give me a chance to run around a little bit too.
Yeah. Hey man, you're not gonna be out there like your boy RG, huh? Robert Gordon out there in pregame running routes.
Because I'm not trying to pull no calf muscles or nothing, boy. I'm just make sure I at least get warmed up first. But no, I'm not gonna be doing nothing too crazy. But hey, once I get into it, we'll see.
Yeah. Last year I always had a blast in individual. Like as a player, I hated individual, right?
Yeah.
Because it was the time to get warm. You don't get the body warm for practice. But it's just, it's all those little skills, from the footwork drills and different stuff. And, PC always had us running through the ladder and then catching and doing things. And how do you view individual? I mean, as a coach, I viewed it different because I had a high tempo. They called my individual VO2 max individual because, we were moving, right? We were moving around. I wanted to get the running backs really warm. I wanted to work on some drills. Anything that I seen during the game, I was like, man, we got to work on that. Or I see it on film, like, okay, this is not right? Our cuts, our everything. So how are you kind of viewing running your first individuals now as a coach?
Yeah, see, I've always viewed individual, even, when I was here, is a little different. But just being in with Hamilton those couple months, it was a lot different than what we're used to, right? It was more, it was longer. It was more working on, technique type stuff. That's one thing that, as a coach, I'm definitely using that individual time as all technique stuff. Like you said, whether it's footwork or stuff we need to work on. Like I'm all for warming up. Might go through the ladder a couple times. You don't want no one to get hurt in individual. But I think, for me as a player, I was always a route runner type technician type guy, right? So that kind of just how I was trained and how I was brought up in college, right? So it kind of just stuck with me. And I think that's one thing that I wouldn't say lost, but I don't see as many receivers have that as much as like when I was coming up. So that's one thing I'm definitely going to be tight on technique, because I think it's just as a receiver, the tighter your technique is, I think the better chance you're going to have of beating a DB, especially one-on-one. The quicker I can get in and out of my break, create that separation, it's going to make a big difference. So I'm definitely going to focus on that technique type stuff in individual.
Yeah, that's it, man. If you got a lot of curl routes in, make sure they got that technique down that they can feel comfortable when they get to it in practice and and get to the places they need to get to and be successful, man. That's going to be awesome. I look forward to seeing you out there, man. I know Pete was always in the box. I don't know if you're going to be in the box on the field. I don't know if y'all talked about that. But it's one of those things where I'd love to see you on the sideline interacting with the players and just seeing you, because you were always so quiet off the field. But in the game, you were loud. Like, you wouldn't stop talking. I used to think I talk trash.
Right.
You talk more trash than me. But then off the field, you wouldn't even say nothing.
Right.
Like, that's you go to the media, it's like, Marquay won't even talk to you.
Yeah, that's just me. I'm just like a naturally quiet guy, laid back. But you know how it is. Like, when you get into that game, man, that adrenaline, that it's just that you just get into that different mode. Like, for me, like, I love to compete. Like,
yeah,
like, that's one thing I love. Like, you didn't have to get me to practice because I love the competition, right? Even if I was feeling sore or whatever, like, I love going against, mainly the first team guys and one-on-one.
Yeah.
Like, that's just what I like. I just love competition. And then when I get to the game, like, I would never start nothing. Like, if you go back and look, I would never start it. But once it got going, though, it kept you in the game. Like, it kept it fun. Like, I didn't need to catch a pass to be like, oh, I'm in the game. Once the talking started, it was like, all right, game time. I'm ready. Like, it's almost boring if no one's out there talking. So I loved it. Like I said, I loved the competition. And for me, it was, hey, you talking, I'm talking. I'm going to try to get you more than you get me. That was my mindset.
I remember one game, man, one of the defensive players like, man, can you just get him to shut up? I said, man, hey, I can't do nothing with it. Like, y'all got him started. Now y'all got to deal with it.
Yeah, right? They got me started. Yeah, exactly. And it was mostly, it's funny, it was thinking back on it, like, when I came out to the West, it was a different style of football. Because if you look when I played in Hamilton, like, I had some battles. Like, Keon, I remember Keon would talk a little bit. Me and Keon had some battles which were good. I'm trying to think, no really, like, big talkers. But when I came out West and started playing with you guys, it was a different, like, I remember Sass, Winnipeg, BC, like, every team talked when we played them. So must just be a West Calgary thing. So I don't know.
That BC secondary, when they had Marsh and RP and all those guys, man, that was Corey Banks. Yep. Dude, those dudes used to be nonstop talking.
Exactly, yeah. But I liked it, though.
When you first started playing, what position you play?
It's gonna be funny. A lot of people don't even know this. My first year playing football, so we had a rec league, and the weight limit was 140. And I think I was right around 138, somewhere around there.
How old were you?
Yeah, I was like 12 or 13, something like that. I think 13. Yeah. So I actually played O-line and D-line. Swear. I played right guard and D tackle. I promise you. I had some nasty, ugly D lineman Reeboks. Like, wasn't really the fastest guy.
You must have grew up. You must have grew pretty quick.
Yeah, see, I grew up playing mostly baseball and basketball, though, right? Okay. So I didn't really play football until that. I must have been in 8th grade. So yeah, around that 12, 13 age. So I hit my growth spurt right around there. I hit my growth spurt pretty early. Like, I think I said something to you or somebody else in one of my pictures when I was like the tall kid. Yeah. I was like the same size since I was like 13, 14. I just gained a little more weight. But yeah, I hit my growth spurt. I thought I was gonna be tall, but yeah, that was it.
Man, when I was 14, I was 5'1", 114 pounds.
Yeah, see, I was
as a freshman in high school. Right. Like, as a freshman, I was playing on the freshman team. Or no, I was playing on JV. We didn't have a freshman team. So playing on JV at 5'1", 114. Ain't nobody out there, just everybody looking at me just like, oh no.
Yeah, so I played O-line, D-line when I was 13. I didn't play again until my junior year of high school.
Oh, okay.
My PE teacher was the O-line coach, and he would see us out playing around. He's like, yo, you should come try out next year. So I went and tried out my junior year, and been playing ever since. I was actually running back. We were running wing T then, my junior year. Then my senior year is where we had a new coach. He actually played in the CFL. His name was Chris Bay. He played for I think Hamilton 1 year.
Okay.
Had a little stint with the Packers. He a D1 coach now, but he's the one that introduced me to a receiver. We were at least four wides every play my senior year. So
wow.
Ever since then, I've been playing receiver.
When did you develop your mentality, like how you approached the game and played the game? Was that more in college, or did you get that when you were in high school?
I would say more college, really. My high school was pretty, we had competition, whatever. I think I developed my skills from my coach, right? He really taught me the game, but I would say college is when, like, that kind of competitiveness you kind of saw a little bit. That's where it kind of came out. But we were mostly a running team in college, man. Like 2 years, my freshman and sophomore year, we had 2,000-yard backs.
Really?
So like my freshman year, I had 20 catches. Sophomore year, I had 30. Junior, 40, and like senior, 50. Like it was just like that. That was it. We were mostly a running team. But
what offense y'all run?
What's up?
What offense y'all run?
Oh, we were really, I would say, we weren't like a wing team or anything. We were really an I formation. It was just those guys were that good. Yeah, so those guys were just, we had some good backs though, like legit 2 backs. One, he ended up signing with the Cowboys as a free agent. And we just had 2 good running backs. I mean, real good running backs. So it wasn't like 2. We were still in like 3 receiver sets. We would run out of 4 receiver sets too. It's just we ran the ball a lot. That's all that was.
Yeah, I went to that option offense in college, so
okay.
I have no catches my freshman year. No catches. We threw the ball like 13 times a game, and most of our sets, 90% of the time, we had 1 receiver in the game.
Yeah, see, I would get most of my touches on returns though, so I was getting a lot of punt returns, so I was happy with that.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good, man. Did you return in high school too, or just in college?
Well, yeah, I returned in high school too. Started returning my senior year when that coach came and I was playing receiver. Did a lot of returns there. I know I had maybe 2 kickoffs I returned in high school. And then in college, I only returned 2 punts my whole career. But I still to this day have the all-time 1AA or what is it, FCS now? Or FBS, one of the 2. I got the record for most punt return yards in the career, so that's
really.
Proud of that.
Oh, that's awesome! Congrats on that. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really. It's funny. My one year when I was up here, I was still playing, so it might have been 16. There was a game on in the States, and there was a guy from North Carolina A&T. He had a chance to break my record that game, so it came on TV, and my mom had sent it to me. So I was like, man, that just reminded me of it because I had forgot all about
it. You got so many, you don't even care.
No, I only got a couple. So I'm trying to hold on to both of those.
Who was influential?
I got one in college.
Where's the other records? One in college and one where?
I think I still got the 2-point conversion record in the CFL.
Oh, that's what's up. Yeah, you do.
I don't have an all-time reception record or nothing like that, but I take what I can get. You know what I mean?
Just thinking about that, it goes back to the I think it's the 2016 Grey Cup, right? That's the one you got hurt, right?
Yeah.
The play at the end of the game, I understand why Dave did it to get 2 plays, to have the route that you run that jiggy where you just fake like you're going across and you come back real quick and they set the rub and you get in the end zone and get the catch. It turns out turning to Anthony Parker instead of you. Right, because you were out. Anthony didn't really get a lot of head of steam the other way. DB didn't overcommit, and Kane made a great play off the edge, tripping up the quarterback, Red Jesus. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Buckley, yeah, there you go. Yeah. I like Buck. I thought Buck could have had a good career as a Canadian quarterback, man. I thought he's talented. I remember being in training camp with him, but just thinking about that play, what goes through your mind on that, just going back there? Because I know I'm skipping out right now. We'll come back to this, but
yeah,
talking about 2-point conversions, man, and you caught a lot of them.
Yeah. It's funny. We were just talking about this the other day. I was at Brent Munson's house.
Yep.
And the problem was the defense actually didn't adjust to Parker. That was the problem. So they actually didn't adjust, and it helped them have a guy when Parker came back sitting there, right?
Yeah.
So when Parker went in motion, the DB didn't go with him. So let's say we had anything going to the other side, we would have had him outnumbered.
Yeah.
But because they didn't run it right, they ended up having a guy right there. So it was just one of those plays, right? Just didn't work out. I mean, it was a tough play because, you know, at that point in the game, we score. We think we have a good chance to win that game, and then you know you have to tie it up and then to lose it in overtime. But for me, it just kind of sucked being hurt going into that game and then kind of getting hurt. Made a good catch, made a good play for us, and then I get hurt on that play. So it was just one of those games where for me it was just like, man, like just one of those days, man.
Yeah. Who was influential to you growing up? Like, who was you looking at? I know you said you played baseball and basketball and played a little bit of football. But was there any specific players that you just looked up to that helped you become who you became and the mentality?
Yeah, well, I was a Cowboys fan growing up, so that's who I watched. Yeah, so that's been my team since about 90, 91, 92. So I've always watched them, but my favorite player growing up was Deion. He was just different than everybody else. He could do a lot of things, and he was one of the reasons why I kind of like punt return. I like kick returns, but punt returns was just a different feel for me. It's just different than kick return. Obviously, I wasn't the fastest guy, so you know I had a little quickness on punt returns. So, but yeah, I just always liked Deion. I played DB in high school too. Had a few picks my senior year. But yeah, just the fact that he could do so much and he got to play some receiver and was a lockdown DB, and he just brought that energy, that swagger to the Cowboys and then won that championship coming from San Francisco.
Yeah, and you talk about like I remember one time in Calgary my rookie year they put me back there to return a kickoff, and I was like, man, I am not a kickoff returner. You know, I returned punts in college and a little bit in high school, and it was mostly, you know, hey, if Nick go back there, we know he gonna catch it. We're gonna get the ball back. Right. And then I ran a couple back, and it was like, okay, let's see what we can do here. So it was cool, but yeah, it's definitely different. I mean, punt returns like being in a phone booth. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I always told the gunners, I said, look, as long as you got a hand on them, when I go to look for the ball, if you got a hand on them, I am not fair catching it.
Right.
So don't expect me to fair catch it.
Right.
Now, if you beat, now I'll fair catch it. But as long as you got a hand on it, don't just give them a clean shot. Right. Exactly. When they go to break down and take a shot on me, just push them or whatever, and I can make them miss. But just don't give up no clean shots. And it worked out pretty well. You ever take any clean shots?
Not that I can think of, because I was never that guy either. But see, back in my college days, I was in the MEAX. I was at HBCU, so a lot of those punters weren't hitting it all high up in the sky. Like when I got to the NFL, it was a whole different ball game. I mean, you sitting up there for seconds, literally waiting on the ball to drop. Like I caught a lot of more line drive type balls, so it was a little easier. But it was just one of those things. Those guys were coming down so fast. You just had to be quick, right? I didn't need to be so fast. Just be a little quick, and then if you see a seam, just take it. So, yeah, it was definitely easier in college than it was in the pros. And then, you know, the CFL, you get 5 yards. Yeah. My first few years at Hamilton, I returned more back then. So.
Yeah. I remember when I caught John Ryan, like when he first came into the CFL. That dude, I seen him punt one, and he was punting out of his own end zones.
Yeah.
And it turned into a touchback.
Yeah.
Right? Like with the wind in Winnipeg and that thing hit the ground about the other 20 and just rolled into the end zone. I was like, man, this is crazy.
That's funny though, because I would say it was either my first or second preseason game ever up here. We were in Winnipeg and the wind was swirling. And we need to catch the ball to like seal the game, whatever, or he was just punting away. If I catch it, we're good. right? But I had never seen the ball get taken like that in the wind. You know how Winnipeg is.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Just
I
like
just
Hamilton
remember
sometimes. When Hamilton's old stadium, the wind used to swirl in there.
Exactly,
I remember Sandro could never kick there because it was like, man, the wind's swirling.
Right, for sure, yeah.
So how'd you get to Hampton from high school? Like what made that choice? Did you have multiple options? Where is Hampton at? Is it Hampton's in Virginia?
Yeah. So Hampton is like 30 minutes from Virginia Beach. So literally right across the bridge under the tunnel.
Home.
Yeah, basically I'm right there at home. But see, my junior year I played running back, right? So I didn't have much success with that. We were 2-9, like really none of us were getting looked at. Then my senior year we get this coach, like I said, turning receiver, and I had a pretty good year. And so Hampton was just one of those teams that recruited me. They ran more of a spread offense. They were like 4 or 5 wide the year before I got there. Then when I get there, we get these running backs and it changes up. So, but it was just one of those things, yeah. So I had some schools, bigger schools, looking at me. I think one other school I would have went to was Marshall, but just talking with my high school coach, he'd be like, yo, you can go there, you can get on the field right away. That's most important. You don't need to go to a D1 school to get looked at. They want you. It's a good fit for you. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go there, and it worked out for me. Even though we ran the ball a lot, it still worked out. I had a good time there, met a lot of friends, and we won a lot of games. I think my whole college career, I think we lost 9 games.
Oh, that's awesome.
The only thing is we never won any playoff games. So I got 3. I got 3 championships. We won 3 in a row, but no
lost in playoffs first round.
No playoff wins, yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I went to Southern Arc, they had lost like 5 games in 3 years.
Yeah.
And then we go 5-5, then 5-5, and it was just like, what the hell is going on? But I'm glad we were able to turn around that next year. It's always good to win, man, especially in college, man. Like, losing takes effect, right? Because,
sure.
College kids be saying stuff, and you be walking around campus looking like you got to see everybody be sitting in class. Everybody be asking about everything.
That's always been my thing. Like, I wasn't really so worried about stats or anything. Like, even in the CFL, you know me. Like, as long as we were winning, like, I was happy. That was just my thing. So I liked winning.
Yeah. Speaking of that, man, like, you go from Hampton to the Broncos as an undrafted free agent. When did you know you could have a chance to play in the NFL, or was it just like, hey, I got an opportunity, I'm just going to take it? Or did in the back of your mind, your senior year, did you know you were going to play professional football?
It was always a goal, right? I started getting a lot of attention my junior year, just from punt return stuff, and I was a good receiver, even though I didn't get a lot of targets. Like, I was just hearing a lot of stuff. But after my senior year, I got invited to the NFL Combine. It was actually 5 of us from that Hampton team. We got invited to the NFL Combine. My numbers were pretty terrible, if you ask me. You know me. I'm not the fastest guy, player. not the quickest guy. It's just I'm not a testing guy. I'm gonna just get on the field and do what I need to do. So I didn't expect to get drafted or anything. Like everyone was saying, you could go late to undrafted, right? That's what I was hearing. So I knew there was a chance, but hey, I got called by Denver. They had drafted no receivers, so me and my agent thought it was a perfect situation, and they gave me an opportunity. And for me, so I went down to train in Florida for the combine, right? So I kind of got a feel of these D1 guys. My first true test against these D1 guys.
Yeah.
And there's freaks, right? There's guys like I worked out with Calvin Johnson, a couple of DBs who went 2nd and 3rd round, and it's like, okay, those guys are elite. But after that, everyone's pretty much the same. And that's how it was when I got to Denver. You had your Champ Baileys, your Dre Blige, your Brandon Marshall. You had these freak guys. But then after that, it was pretty much.
Was Lenny there then?
Who's that?
Was Lenny Walls there then?
No, I think that was after me. I was there or before me. I was there in 2007.
Okay, yeah, I can't remember when Lenny was there. It might have been 5 and 6.
Yeah.
I can't remember. But
probably
yeah.
before me. But yeah, once I got on the field out there and saw like I could actually, compete, it kind of gave me that confidence. And, my first year I was there on the practice squad. Second year, drafted a receiver second round. I already knew what time it was.
The writing was on the wall.
Yeah, so,
What'd you do? What'd you do between then and Hamilton? Did you just go immediately to Hamilton, or what was the plan?
So 2008, I was there all through training camp, and I got released right before the season. And so the following that was 2008. So the following year is when I went to Hamilton. One of my college coaches had played in Hamilton. He knew Bob Obilovich.
Yeah.
So he knew a couple of us. He was at, I think, some scouts from Hamilton was at our pro day. And then I know I had worked out with Danny McManus back then, and I ended up going up to Hamilton that following May.
Oh, that's awesome. Your first year, man, you led the CFL in all-purpose yards. How was that? Just coming in as a rookie. Who was the receivers that Hamilton had 2000, was it 9?
Yeah, 2009. So we had Dave Stala. You remember Appreciate Rodriguez? You remember Appreciate Rodriguez?
Appreciate, yeah.
Appreciate was there. We ended up getting, it was either 9 or 10, might have been 10. Arlen Bruce ended up coming, but I think that was 10. I'm sure you know Maurice Mann.
Yep.
I think that was 2010.
Yep.
We were pretty young in 9, so I think those two veteran guys, Mann and
Bakari
Bruce,
there?
they came in 10.
When did Bakari come in?
Bakari came later. Bakari came in 11.
Okay.
11 or 10, yeah. Yeah, but it was cool though. We were pretty young. Like, we went, 9 and 9 both years, or we were pretty young. Like a lot of guys who were just new to the CFL. Hamilton was kind of, trying to turn that corner, trying to build up a team. Did make the playoffs, but we just, like I said, we were pretty young. So like I said, we pretty much got bounced in the first round both of those years.
Who was the quarterback? KG and Quentin Porter?
KG and Quentin Porter were there, yeah.
Man, how was that going through that? Like, KG, they were kind of switching back and forth. And
yeah.
Was that hard to deal with as a receiver? Being in that situation where you don't know what quarterback you're going to be playing with every time you step on the field?
Yeah, it was something I didn't really worry about. I didn't really see there was a difference between the players as far as like what they could do and kind of like the plays we ran. But one thing my college coach always told me, and I live to this day, I keep it with me, is like control what you can control. Like it's out of my control. Like those quarterback situations, nothing I can control. So I didn't really worry about it too much. Whoever was playing, that's who we rolled with. I would say KG was more of a passer. So when he was playing, we had more of an opportunity. 2010, I think he threw like 5,000 yards. So, but yeah, I didn't really worry about it too much. Whoever was out there was out there.
Did you have a favorite quarterback you played with through your career?
Like career-wise, football, like high school, CFL?
Yeah, just like, did you have like, just like in the CFL or, during your career, did you have one guy that was like, man, like if you could go back and play one game right now, who's your guy?
Honestly, and just how I feel, like it's Bo.
Yeah.
Just from making it easy, being on the same page, just didn't have to reach down outside of your body too much. Just hands down one of the best quarterbacks that I would roll with. If I had one game to go with, I'm going with Bo.
Awesome. I never really got with Bo too much because when he played early, I was out most of 13 when he got a couple games in. And then in 14, I was hurt most of the time.
Right.
And so I didn't really get a chance to really do what I do with Bo. Right. So that's good.
You and KG had a good connection, though.
Yeah. KG was my favorite, man.
Right.
I think Hank was the best. Well, I know Hank is the best. His skill set was just so different compared to what everybody else can do, throwing it 90 yards, being able to run, being able to the no-look pass, when he's looking here and he throws it out there to you and all those things, man. Hank just has such a skill set that a lot of people don't have. And for him, it was just about being consistent, getting to the place of consistency, right? KG, he was just always solid. You know what I'm saying? Great balls. You know what you're going to get. He consistent. I remember we played in BC. He threw, I think it was Jabari, an out route. Corey Banks picked it off. It was like the first play of the game. Ran to the sideline, stood there like this. They made the extra point, went back on the field, and we sauced them the rest of the game.
That's what
you know what I'm saying?
That's one thing I liked about KG, though. Yeah, KG didn't let too much bother him at all. Like, even the situation in Hamilton with the quarterback situation, like, he knew he should have been the guy starting, but he just, he always had that positive attitude. So that's just KG, though.
Yeah.
I think the only thing for me about KG is sometimes it was just tough for me to see him. Like, if KG was like 2 inches taller, KG might have been that number one corner of it. I just couldn't see him, but he would find those lanes, though.
Yeah, when you run that 6-yard crossing route, you don't see the ball till it's almost up on
you. Exactly. KG got some zip, too. KG got that zip on the ball.
Did you watch anybody specifically, like receivers or anything, when you first got in the league and kind of molded your game after, or learned how to play the CFL game?
Not really. One guy who really helped me a lot was Dave Stoller, because I played right beside him my first year, and I had never done the waggle, so that kind of, took – it's just something you weren't used to, so you had to just do it to get comfortable. And he kind of taught me that, all right, it's kind of not like the States. You already got a waggle, right? You don't have to – you can kind of carry it. Because if you watch Dave Stoller, he wasn't a blazer, but he could just carry his speed and get in and out of breaks. He was real savvy. So that's one thing I tried to use. And then you might not know it, but just watching you when I was in Calgary, like you were just savvy. You had just a patience about you that kind of you let everything open up. And one of the routes specifically is like the Ottawa outlaw type routes. Like I watched how you set guys up and you're letting everything else clear out, and then you stick your foot in the ground and get out, right? So I've done that everywhere I went, though. Like, even in college, I watched guys who were in front of me. I tried to take something from what they were doing. Everywhere I've been, I just tried to take something from each guy. So just one thing about this game is different in the States. It's just more patience in certain routes, and you know that.
Yeah, and the more people you can see, right? When you can see multiple people and you can see how things are working together, it helps you flow through. And that's always a big part of it. Man, in your second year, you had 998 yards receiving.
Yeah.
That pissed you off that you got so close to 1,000? I know you're already successful because you led the league in all-purpose your rookie year. Then you come back and you're like, you're right there. What happened to prevent you from the 1,000, and how does that make you feel to know you got so close and just didn't get there at that year?
Well, most of it was me. Like, I was doing a lot of people don't know, or people are always wondering why Hamilton let me go. And my second year, I was just doing too much off the field. That's just the honest truth. Like, even though I had some decent stats, like, I was dropping passes like left and right. Like I mean, I played with you. You probably haven't seen me drop too many, but
really, I call you the Lexus.
Yeah, I was dropping.
What did I always call you in Calgary?
Yeah, the Lexus. Yeah,
the Lexus. Sure. Because,
hey,
Lexus, you don't never see a Lexus broke down.
Right.
Lexus always on the road. Lexus always consistent. And Lexus is a nice luxury car to have.
Right. But, I was just doing too much off the field basis. I was dropping at least a pass a game. Like, I was averaging a pass a game. So
really?
It was bad. Yeah, it was bad.
And it was the nightlife.
Yeah, it was just doing too much.
Was you going to Toronto? What was you doing? I know Hamilton ain't got no great nightlife like Hess Village, but other than that,
in Toronto too much. In Toronto, way too much. That's what it was. So it was just doing too much off the field, right? Not being as focused as I was my first year. But the crazy part about the 1,000, though, I actually went over 1,000, But Chris Bowman, you remember Chris Bowman?
Yeah.
He played with us in Calgary?
He played Calgary with us. Yeah.
We ran it like a bubble screen to me, and I had got 10 yards, and then they called him for holding, and then that was it. But look, going into the game, like I needed like 30 yards to get 1,000.
Yeah, I remember that.
I didn't even see the ball the first half. So I'm like, man, what's going on here? Like, y'all could make sure I get my 1,000.
Yeah.
So in the second half,
Did you have a bonus?
Yeah, I had a bonus. I mean, it wasn't nothing crazy, but at least that 1,000-yard mark was just something, every receiver kind of sets their first sights on, right? So it would have been nice to get it, but looking back on it, I take blame for it, and then that's it. So it's nothing too big for me.
And you talk about being released in Hamilton in 2011. How was it dealing with just, you come into the league, you have success early, leading the league in all-purpose yards. Then you go through the ups and downs of 10. Like, coming back in 11, like, what was the mindset? Were you just like, I'll be better just because I worked harder, or were you still in that phase of going out and doing things?
Yeah, see, after 2010 season, I was like, this ain't me. Like, I need to get back on my grind. So that the 2011 off season, like the off season before 11, I got me a trainer and just went back to kind of what I did to get me to where I was, right? So I just went back, got me a trainer, felt great too, going into camp. Once I got into camp, I was already second on the depth chart, which was cool, but there was no battle for anything. It was just like, you're going to be
already
here.
Set.
Yeah, so I think if I didn't have a good camp, I think they would have just released me. But I thought I had a good camp, had a good preseason. Like I said, I think I looked good as I did when I came in 2009. Just felt good, but it was already set. So I was in that reserve role. So I was on the one game for the first 9 games. Like, I don't know if they were trying to trade me or anything, but I was on the one game. And then at some point in that season, they just decided to release me. I think I had already got, got credit for those 9 games, right? So I got credit for the year, but I think, you know how it is. Once you reach a certain amount of games, you have to pay your whole contract. So I got released
right before
that. And I went to Calgary, and looking back on it, it all ended up, working out for me. So, looking back on it, I'm like, hey, maybe it was supposed to happen. I got a second chance. A lot of guys don't get second chance. I've been around this league a long time and seen guys that do the same type of thing and don't get that second chance. So,
yeah, I remember once
I got that second chance,
I was super impressed with you when you got to Calgary, man. I just like, man, this dude is smooth with it. He's out here just breaking DBs off. You work so well in the slot. Like, you're really one of those true guys that can go line up in the slot in the NFL and just get 80 yards a game on 10 catches. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
And it's because one of those, you just break people off and you're smooth with how you do things. But I used to tell PC all the time, like, Pete, man, you got to find a way to get this dude on the roster.
Yeah, I remember you told me that.
And Huff's like, man, we got Landon Talley. I'm like, no, I don't care about Landon Talley right now. You gotta find a way to get this guy on the roster.
Right.
Because they liked Landon as a returner, and he was that extra guy. But I was like, man, look, this dude could be a difference maker. And what
I got it, right? Like, once I got there and I understood the situation, like, because if I was there and I was doing my job and somebody good came in, like, I would at least want that opportunity. But if I don't take advantage of that opportunity, then, hey, the next guy up. So I just sat back, waited my turn. I felt like, I had 2012. But, the beginning of 2012, the first game I didn't start.
Exactly. Landon started that game. And he had like 3 or 4 drops. And then next thing you know, it was like, I said, are you ready yet? Are you ready?
Yeah. But I knew I just had to wait my turn, right? I felt like I had a good camp. Even in 11, I felt good. When I was on the practice roster, felt good. Felt back like I was back to normal. And like I said, I started putting in that work in the off season, and that was the difference for me.
Was it a humbling experience just to go through that, being in Calgary and not playing after getting released in Hamilton? At that point, I mean, you really can look at it like your career can go one or two ways. It can go up or you can be out of the league, right? How was it for you to go through just that experience, and how did that propel you into what you did the next 6-7 years after that?
Yeah, like I said, I just took it as this is my second chance, and I'm not gonna be put myself in that situation again, right? That's for me. That's all it was. Like, I was just grateful for that opportunity, right? And I know one of the reasons I ended up in Calgary was I can't think of his name. The O-line coach that was here in 2011 was with me in Hamilton.
Okay.
You know who I'm talking about. Had glasses. No, not.
Oh, you're talking about Gibbs.
Yeah, Coach Gibson. Gibby. Yeah, Coach Gibson. Yeah. So Coach Gibson was in Hamilton with me. So he was in Calgary in 11. So yeah, put in a word. So that's how I ended up in Calgary. But yeah, I just wasn't going to put myself in that situation. I was going to take full advantage of that second chance. And like I said, I knew I could play in the league, right? So it was just stop doing too much off the field, and I'll be all right. So that's all that was.
Man, I was fortunate to play with a lot of great receivers. I mean, even coming in, I played with Albert Cano, who had 1,000 yards in NFL, Wayne McGarity, and Salacio, and those guys, and Darnell McDonald. And then the next year, I played with Marte Jenkins and Cope and Rambo. And then it went from – then Cope go to Serrano, and then Romby Bryant comes in with me and Rambo. And then it was me, you, and Romby. Right. And then it was me, you, and in 14, you think Joe West and Mo Price, and we had all these guys, and Eric Rogers and Kamar. Right? Like, just thinking about that throughout my career, when you look back on your career and who you got to share the field with, like, how does that make you feel, and to know that you got to do it and share the field with some super talented guys and went out there and balled as one of the best?
Yeah, I think when you're done, right, you look back on all that. Like I know I'm sure you look back on your career, like being, doing the things you did. And one thing I've always said to you, like, if you didn't get your ankle, if you didn't hurt your ankle that year in BC, man, like the numbers you could have put up would have been, I think they would have been right up there, or if not, on top of, what's out there now. So when you sit back and look back at stuff like that, you kind of reminisce and appreciate those just those moments, right? Even a guy like one of the best guys that I saw, talent-wise, like Arlen Bruce was probably one of the smoothest receivers I've seen. I mean, he made it look so effortless. I mean, he probably my second year period, I seen him have a 200-yard game in SAS, and it looked like he broke a sweat. I mean, he was just so effortless. But I think when you sit back and look on your career and see all these pictures and even games that are coming on now, you look on the sideline of who weren't even playing at that time. You know what I mean? Like, teams were stacked. You know what I mean? So when you look back on stuff like that, you kind of just like, man, like, had a good run, played with some great guys. And Calgary just always loads up, right? So it was just one guy out, one guy step in. Like, that's just what it is. So, yeah, when you look back on it, talent-wise, we played with some good guys. And not being the most talented guy, like, it doesn't bother me. But, hey, I played with some guys who could really play some football.
But you went out there and did what you did, though. You made it a lot easier for a lot of people, right? It was like – and I didn't even mention Montreal when I played with Fred Stamps in SJ, right? Playing with Ernest Jackson and BJ. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's – like, you go out there and line up, man, and you're just happy to be a part of it, and you want to lead the show. And in Calgary, in the position that we were in to lead the show, I remember after the 2014 Grey Cup, the next night, we were all partying and hanging out. And remember I told you, I was like, I'm done. And you're like, no, you're not. You'll be back. I said, no, I'm not. Like, it's your turn. I was like, you know what I'm saying? You deserve this opportunity, man. And I seriously thought I was going to retire until I got a call from Pop in March. And, you talk about the ankle injury, I had mapped it out, man. Because, like, when I got hurt, I had over 400 yards in 6 games. So I was like, this is going to be my 4th straight 1,200-yard season.
Right.
Even if I just do 1,000 the next 2 years after that, one, I'd have got Terry Vaughn's record for 12 straight thousands. But that would have put me over where G-Roy is at right now. So if you give me an extra, 3,000 yards, then I'm almost at 17,000 yards. And I probably would have even gotten to 1,300 catches.
Yeah.
Right? So when I look at it, it's like, man, I could have did some crazy stuff. But I'm so glad for what happened because when I broke my leg, it released all the pressure. Because at that point, I had 9 straight thousands. You know what I'm saying? And every year it's like, okay, got to get there. And you're going through all this. But I didn't enjoy the game. I was out there looking for numbers, and I always had a good time. But, you see me, I'm just out there like an animal. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And on the sideline, I'm up, I'm down, I'm whatever. And it just kind of goes through that. But after the injury, it kind of freed me and allowed me to have fun. And one of the funnest years I had was in Montreal in 2016 when I did get over 1,000 again in my 13th year. So, dude, when I look back at all that, man, it was just like, what a hell of a ride.
Yeah.
But when I told you that night, you didn't believe me that it's your turn and you got to take the reins. You're like, man, you coming back, man. You're like, man, if I got to deal with Mo, man.
Yeah, I remember that because I remember you saying that. But see, that's the thing, right? Because you know me, like I was like you said, like you were the vocal guy in the group. Like I didn't need to say too much or do anything. Like the standard was set, right? You, even though you were a vocal guy, you still came to work. You did what you did. Same with Romby, he was a hard worker, right? So that's what I saw when I got there, right? So it was just, I've always been a hard worker, but just seeing how y'all do things, right? So for me, when you left, now I did have to step up and be that kind of vocal guy. But it wasn't too much, right? It was more like after practice, like, yo, if it's like, okay, hey, we need to do this, all right? We've been messing up on this. We got to get this right. We got to get this corrected. Little stuff like that, saying it to the group. So it wasn't like too much, or like in the games, like you would be like more of the sideline guy or whatever. So it was like, I'm just like, all right, come on, y'all, let's go. Like, just do your job and we're fine. We'll get back into this. So little stuff like that. It was never nothing I couldn't do. It's just like I didn't need to, right? Like,
yeah.
Like I said, I've always been in a position where I just played my role. And like, so it naturally, once you left, I just naturally became that guy and just spoke up more. That's all. So it was nothing. It wasn't like I'm not a shy guy at all. It's just who I am. So once it happened, it was natural for me to just speak up a little bit more.
And that's always the way that I was doing it. Is like, man, look, you do you get ready. Right. You know what I'm saying? And then I just wanted to make sure everybody was prepared, right, to play and to do what we needed to do to win and be consistently a winner, because it's hard, super hard to win consistently, because everybody gives you – sometimes, you like being in Calgary, you'll play teams like, oh, we should blow them out, and we get their best game.
Oh, for sure.
Every week we get their best game. Regardless if you're the Grey Cup champ or not, you getting somebody's best game because you're essentially the measuring stick. And even when I went to Montreal, I saw it the same way. I was like, okay, I've always done this with Calgary. Now I got to prove I can do it to Calgary. Right. And I believe, I did that when we played in Montreal. I didn't get the ball in Calgary. They was tripping. But but becoming the actual leader per se, because like I know your personality, and I know you're a guy that goes out there and puts it out there. And when you look at like what Jordan did on the Last Dance, and you look at these things, how he used these things to motivate his teammates or to pull them up. How was that with you? Did you ever feel like you had to find somebody or to motivate someone, or you ever had to talk to anyone to create a better environment for them or to pull them up because they wasn't pulling their weight?
No, I don't think so. I don't think I ever had that problem. Like I said, like for me, and how it's always been in Calgary, it seemed like guys either either got on the train or they didn't, and then they just weren't here. Like, that's just kind of how it's always been. So there might have been times in games where it's like, all right, we need to step our game up and do our job, like little stuff like that. But never something where it's like, all right, you need to get on board. I mean, there was one situation I can think of. I'm not gonna say no names because people, get mad or whatever. But it's like if we all meeting together as a group, then we're all a group. Like, it doesn't matter what's been going on in that meeting. It's like we're a group. Like, we're all in this together. No one's better than the next person. Like, so we're all going to be there. So there was one incident I can remember like that. But other than that, like I said,
I was there for that.
Yeah, guys were either on board or or just what it was.
But see, that's the thing is, like, I was even there.
Yeah.
Right? I was even in the meeting. I didn't need the meeting.
Right.
But I was in the meeting.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Right. That's what I'm saying.
And then he's sitting in the locker room.
Right.
So it's not like you're not in the building. You're in the building. You're just refusing to come to the room.
Right. Because for whatever reason, right? So I just never been an individual type guy. So like when I see stuff like that, like I just have to say something. So that's just how I've always been.
And I want to approach this with sensitivity, but also just the understanding and just try to get your clarity on it. After the 2017 Grey Cup.
Yeah.
With you and Kamar.
Yeah.
I've always been hard on Kamar, but I've always loved tough with Kamar and I've always told him, like, dude, you got to be that dude every day.
Right.
Right. And even, the first couple of years, he was really inconsistent.
Right.
And then he worked on his consistency. And, I've been able to talk to him a couple of times through his rehab and his injuries and things like that. And I root for him every time he steps on the field. But going back to that moment and then going back to how you feel about what you said in that time.
I do regret what I said. Like, I even apologized to KJ just because I wanted to make sure he knew it wasn't personal. Like,
yeah.
I even told him if that was myself, I would say the same thing about myself.
Yeah.
The only thing I wish I didn't, I just wish I didn't say it to the media, because the way it happened was our lockers are right next to each other, right? So literally as soon as we get into the locker room, I don't even know if my shoulder pads were off yet. So I think they went straight to him first, right? So I'm already mad, right? Because at this point, you might not know it or no one knows it. I feel like that's my last year. 2017 was a rough year for me. Like,
yeah, my
body felt great in 16. Like, I felt the best I did in 16. 17, my legs were hurting in practice. Like, I was never had that feeling before, right? So my body just didn't feel the same. And so I knew football wasn't fun for me for 17. So I knew that probably was my last year. So I'm like, all right, cool. We're going to win this Grey Cup, and I can just go ahead and retire. Exactly.
Yeah.
So when that didn't happen, like I said, it was just – I think if he wasn't beside me, because the reporter asked me, KJ regrets this or did that. That's what he said to me, which doesn't excuse it, but I just wish I didn't, seem like I was taking a dig at me, because they killed me on the internet, boy. They killed me on Twitter and IG.
One of the
they don't understand it, though, right?
Yeah, one of the things that I said when it first happened, I 100% had your back on it, because I said there's certain things leaders should have the right to say.
Yeah.
Because they're the leaders.
Right.
And, there's some things that's happened over the last couple of years that I've kind of changed my stance on that. But at the end of the day, when you're in that locker room and you go to war with people,
right,
there's a lot of things that are said and done, and you hope people can take it from the right perspective.
Right.
Right. And I thought that ball should have been in your hands. Personally.
Right.
Just because of the situation.
Right.
Right. But at the end of the day, you have a run pass option. The ball is thrown. You're up by 10. 3 points, you win the game. Right. Yes, KJ wants it back. We would all want it back. And to know that it happened out of a mistake and not out of you're not trying to throw the game. You just want to score. Right. You're trying to get MVP at this point. You know what I'm saying? He scored on the play, same play he scored on earlier in the game.
Right.
He made the one-handed catch, runs down the sidelines, and scores a touchdown on the same play early in the game.
Right.
So, I mean, I totally understand the young guy going out there, my chance to shine, millions of people watching, you know, and it happened. And I wanted to bring this up not as something negative because now you're coaching KJ and, you know, you were still teammates at the point. And I just wanted to know how you felt about it and what angle you looked at it and if you talked about it with him since. And it sounds like you have, and that's good because I know, like I said, I know you and I know where it comes from. And I'm pretty sure KJ does too.
Yeah, and I think when I talk to him, I think everyone knows, how competitive I am. Like you say, I talk a lot on the field, but you know there's, a different me, right? There's a switch. So in that competitive environment, people know how I am. So I don't think he took it personal. I'm pretty sure if anyone says anything in the media about, your teammate or whatever, it might look bad or whatever, but like I said, a lot of people with those opinions have never been in that situation, and I would never make an excuse for anything like that. Like I said, I just wish the media didn't get it because I feel like I just gave them something, right? That's what the media wants, right?
At that time, that's what they're looking for.
Exactly. So I gave them what they wanted, and I just kind of wish I would have just maybe not given them that in a video form. Like if I said something later on, and I said something later on, but it was just the heat of the moment. Because after that was over, it was over. It sucked. Like I said, I knew that was probably my last game, and it just didn't happen. So I just tried to be like, hey, it just wasn't meant to be. But I think for me, like I said, when I was asked the questions, all I could think about is what we said on that drive. We were like, hey, all we need to do is hold on to the ball. We were saying this every play of this drive, going down the field. As we're going down the field, hey, just hold on to the ball. You know they're going to be coming for the ball. You know that. That's the only way they can get back into the game.
Yeah.
So I felt like I just knew the game was over. I knew it was over. I knew even if he missed the field, what were we up? Do you remember?
I think it was 10.
Were we up 10?
10 or 11, yeah. Because it was something where they would have needed 2 touchdowns.
No, we was up 8, I think.
Was it 8?
Because they got the 2-point
conversion.
It
would have been 11. Yeah.
It would have but even if he kicked the field goal and missed it, I'm like, we're going up 9. You know what I'm saying?
There was only about 2 minutes left.
And our defense was balling. So I'm like, in my mind, the game was over because I feel like, we protect the ball. No one's going to do nothing crazy. I just knew the game was over. After that play, people talk about me running back. I was done before then. You know how it is sometimes in the cold, you cramping up and all that. I'm trying to run. I'm like, hey, I can't beat him. I'm cramping up. But it was just, like I said, as long as, and I don't think so, talking to him, I think, and this was 2018 when I guest coached when I talked to him.
Okay.
So, like I said, as long as he knew it wasn't personal, and I even told him, I was like, hey, if it was me, and someone said something about that to me, I would completely understand. I think people who know me actually know that. So at least he was around me enough to know what type of guy I am, and it wasn't like, oh, Quay don't like me and this and that. So.
Yeah, we all, it's a tough moment, man. It's a high pressure situation for everybody.
Especially
that's what people don't understand.
16, though. Coming off of 16, so that was made it.
Was y'all 15, 2-1?
Oh yeah. In 16, 16 we were 15-2-1. 17 we were right around the same. I think we might have won 14, but still around that same thing. All we had to do was do what we needed to do, and we just didn't get it done. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah.
And I think being retired or not playing anymore, looking back on those moments, that's what I still hold on to. I don't care about stats I wasn't a stat guy anyway, but losing those games we should have won, and I thought if we play our game, then that's what hurts the most.
You feel like you overachieve or underachieve in your career?
That's a good question. It's a two-part. I think it's two parts to it. I think I overachieved just from a standpoint of my friends and family who kind of knew me growing up. I think I overachieved, but at the same time, like we ran the ball a lot. Do I think I could have had better numbers? Of course. There's years where I felt great where I thought, and the film showed that just I couldn't no one cover me or I just could have got the ball more, and I just was never that guy. As long as we were winning and getting to those Grey Cups, I was happy, and that was my goal. So it's I feel both parts of it. I think I could have done more stats wise, but I mean it is what it is.
You did it. The way you talk, you feel like you turned around, like you talk like you're an average football player that had a great career. Man, you were a great football player that had a great career, man. Like you're right, man. They couldn't guard you, right? You could play any slot position and go out there and like we were always constantly moving and going out there and getting it done, man. So, yeah, man, I think you should give yourself a little bit more credit athletically, man, because you made it work, man. You made some plays and you did a great job, hell of a job. Like I said, definitely it makes everybody's job easier when you have you on the squad because not only mentally, but physically, like you wasn't scared to get in the box and go down there and block and do things. And you did everything to help the team win. And that was a huge, huge thing to have you as a teammate. Now
that was just my main. That was just my main thing, right? Like I said, I like the winning. You go from Hamilton to winning 9 games a year to my first year in Calgary. We end up in the Grey Cup. To a team that's used to winning. So I just tried to fit in and do my part. And that was my mentality, right? Just do my job every play. Like that's it. Like that's all I wanted to do. Like it came my way. If I got a block, if I got a bomb or whatever, that's just what I had to do. Like to me, it was like do whatever it takes to get the win. Like that was my mentality.
What are you looking forward to most coaching back in Calgary?
Well, for one, you know how Calgary is. Like Calgary just feels like second home. Like Calgary it's always a good feeling here. The staff. We mentioned earlier, like smart staff, so can learn a lot from them guys. Yeah. And then like coaching guys that I actually played with. That's going to be cool too. But just knowing there's always going to be good talent here, and like I could say, I could actually kind of mold that and kind of help those guys from the States transition to that CFL game because it's a different game, right? Yeah. So just stuff, being coached how I was coached growing up or coming up through college and the league, just taking things from all those guys and saying like, okay, I've been there, done this. I think I know what works and what will help guys out and can kind of put my print on that. I think that's what I'm most excited for. So like hitting the field is what I'm most excited for. Like I said, just gotta wait for that to happen.
Yeah, well, hope it happens soon, man. And you can always reach out to me if you need anything, man. I love it. I love giving back. I love helping out where I can. And I'm a huge Stampeder fan. Will be to the day I die. And like you said, it is second home, and I'm looking forward to coming back there and working with Cowboys and the crew and being able to put together something great for the city, because I truly believe that city is, when it's thriving, there's no other place like it, right? And, I know the team's going to do their job on the field because I know Dave's going to have everybody ready. I know Huff's mentality, and I know the coaching staff you got there, man. It's a bunch of great coaches, you know what I'm saying, with Josh Bell and Mace and Monson, and like you said earlier, man, Pat's so super smart. You know what I'm saying? Mueller's super smart. Like all you do is just a cut above, man, when you look at the whole coaching staff and you tell me Cortez is back. I'm super excited about that. Like Cortez called me when I retired, man, and felt good. You know what I'm saying? That he called me once I retired, and So I'll be rooting for you guys, man. I appreciate you for taking the time to come on the LewLewLounge and the LewLewLogic podcast. Anything else, man, that you would say to any kids or young men out there trying to play pro football or anything in life that they're trying to succeed at? Any tips or anything that you did that helped you make it to the platform you had and what you do?
Yeah, I'm going to answer this question, but I got a question for you, too, that I always wanted to ask you.
All right.
I'm going to answer your question first. But one thing I tell guys now, right, you know, everyone is a good athlete. And even if you're not a good athlete, you're going to put in that work to become a good athlete, right? That's part of the game. That's always going to be there. But for me, knowing I wasn't always the best athlete, like I used my brain. Like football is not just about being physical, right? It's about seeing things before they happen. Like it's about knowing your responsibility, knowing your job, knowing how to do your job, being consistent. I watched a video with Chad Johnson. He was talking to I think it was Ridley from Alabama when he was coming out. He was like, every team has a number one receiver, right? Now what separates that number one receiver from that number two guy? It's something about that number one guy. Whether it's he can catch better than everybody, he can run routes better than everybody, it's something. So I would just say find what it is that you can do and just be consistent. Like consistency is the key to being a good pro or to reaching that pro level or being a good college receiver or college player in general. You got to be consistent day in and day out. Always try to outwork the next guy. That's just second to none. You just got to have that mentality, but football is a lot more mental, especially on that pro level, than people actually understand until they get there. So that's just kind of one thing. The more you can learn about the game at an early age, the more it'll help you out. And I think, you know, being on different levels of coaching, I think coaches can help those guys too develop faster. You know, in the States, like I'm hearing stuff in high school, like in college, you know, and it's not the same up here. You know, one thing one of my college coaches always told me was, watch what you put on film. That eye in the sky don't lie.
Yep.
Right. So scouting a lot of these players, I'm seeing stuff that shouldn't be on film or that I would never put on film. You know, so you know, younger guys take you know, notice to that. Watch what you put on that film because scouts are watching you or whoever's looking at you. You know, they're watching every play. So just try to go hard every play.
Yeah.
And so my
more
question
chess
for
than
you,
checkers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. You know, that's one thing I've always said. I thought playing was more checkers and coaching is kind of more chess. That's just kind of how I've always, you know, viewed the two. The question I have for you is, like, everybody knows Nick, right? Nick is Nick. Nothing crazy, right? Everybody know Nick, right? Nick Charleston.
I'm scared right now.
No, it's not nothing crazy. I'm just wondering, like you do your thing and you still ball. Like that's just one of your gifts.
Yeah.
I just always wondered if, you know how I talked about me and Hamilton doing too much, and I couldn't do it, right? Some people can. Do you think you would have had even a better career if you weren't like Nick Lewis? Like if you were more laid back?
You know, I thought about that for a long time.
Yeah.
I really thought about that for a long time. I see guys like J.J. Watt saying early in his career, I don't want a girlfriend because football is my girlfriend. Right? I'm dedicating everything to this. I'm dedicating everything to – and you have these guys that go out there and do so many great things. You know, I was such a competitor that when it came down to it, I don't care what the situation was, I was going to ball. I remember one time, you know, my wife hates when I tell these stories because, you know, it could make me look bad in certain ways, right? But we're playing Ottawa, and Duran was suspended that game. I was in Montreal. So SJ was already hurt. Duran suspended. And I'm sitting there like, okay, well, I'm about to go off. Well, we had stayed up playing Settlers at Catan until 4 a.m. We had drank like 3-4 bottles of Crown. And the game's like at 3 o'clock, right? 3-4 o'clock. So I'm like, you know what? This is what I do.
Right.
And I think I finished with like 7 for 91 or something like that. I didn't have a drop, nothing. I was out there. I played well.
Right.
And it comes back to, handle what you can handle and do what you can do. I don't know. The only way possible, I feel like I could have done more if I would have stopped drinking as much, I probably would have lost weight.
Okay, yeah.
Right. So, because I didn't eat, I ate once a day, sometimes twice a day. So it wasn't eating.
Right.
But it was just probably the amount of alcohol I consumed over my career.
Sure.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I think about that sometimes is like when I see Jordan and I see these things, but then I see Jordan smoking cigars every day.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, we all have our vices. We all have our ways. And I always like to reward myself. That was one of the things I did. I said, every year I'm either taking a trip or I'm doing something to reward myself, because if you don't, then it kind of gets lost in the process.
Exactly. Yeah.
So part of the reward was the lifestyle for me, to be able to go out and have fun and not really worry about playing a game the next day. I always felt, I asked you a question. Did you ever show up on game day and wonder if I was going to be ready to play?
No, not once. Yeah,
see,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
that's one of the things to me too, is like, I could always know that my teammates never, I don't care if Montreal or wherever, never had to say, look at me and be like, I wonder if Nick ready to play today.
Right.
I remember seeing G-Roy out before a game. We played him on Halloween. And he was like, oh, we're going to kill y'all tomorrow. I was like, G-Roy, y'all ain't beat us in 3 years. And, and I'm drinking and I'm having a good time. And he's like, man, how you just drinking like this? He's like, we got a game tomorrow. I said, I'll be ready for the game when the game get here. Like, I don't think about the game till the game time.
Right.
And we went out there and beat them and played well. So, it's one of those things. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it for people.
Right, for sure.
It's kind of crazy because I didn't really drink in high school. I didn't drink in college. Man, I've drank probably a handful of times in college.
Yeah.
Right. So, but when I got to Canada, I think I just fell in love with Crown, Canadian whiskey. And no, it was good, but I don't know. I really don't know like I said, if that would have saved me, and I don't even know if losing weight would have helped.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I did have 1,000 yards at heavyweight in the end in year 13. So, I mean, I don't know if that was been anything to help. And I didn't have any major injuries besides solidly falling on my leg. Right. So I think the more I think about it, I think no, but would I probably feel better now? Yeah. No, that's an interesting question there. I definitely I have thought about that before though. Like, would I have gotten more out if I wouldn't have drank as much?
Right. Yeah. I guess you just never know, but like you said, it's not like you have no regrets or anything, so that's good.
Yeah, I remember one time I went in to see Huff at the beginning of training camp, and Huff was like, have you cut back on the pop yet? I mean, he know.
Yeah.
Everybody knew.
Everybody, It's just what you did. Like
Jabari tells a story about when he hung out with me for the first time when he was a rookie.
I don't think I heard that one. I got to ask him.
Ask him now when he says, man, he'll never hang out with me again. Not at that capacity. So
yeah, because I think I saw it in 12. I saw it a little bit hanging out with y'all guys for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, after the games, like it was.
Yeah.
I was kind of like when you watch Rodman.
Yeah.
Right, but I wasn't going to Vegas and stuff like
that. Yeah, you weren't that bad.
I was just hanging around Calgary.
Yeah.
Right, so it wasn't like I was out doing a bunch of drugs or nothing like that. I was just drinking a lot.
Yeah. I just wondered that.
Because I remember in 2011 too, me and my ex-fiance split up that year, right before training camp. And I talked to PC about this on the podcast. Dude, we were together 6.5 years. Like, I was like just so different that year. The year you came in, and I remember at the team wrap-up dinner, Pete stood up and said, I don't know how you made it through the season, come in smelling like a bottle every day. And, Sweet used to always tell me, I'm praying for you, and if you need help, let me know. And so apparently it's going around the coaches' offices, like somebody's got to get Nick some help. And I don't know if somebody's going to talk to him or, it's one of those things, man. But people care. But,
right.
You're in the whirlwind, and I always felt like that's kind of the sanctuary, right? No matter how big the whirlwind was going outside of sports, once we stepped on the field, nothing else mattered but winning and competing.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So I didn't let anything affect me when it came time to win or to compete. But outside of that was just part of the lifestyle. And I needed that lifestyle to do what I did, right? Because that motivated me, right? Like, you don't get this lifestyle if you don't go ball.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Me, Clay, and Joffrey used to say, if you don't ball, you got to go to rehab. That was our motto in 2010. If you don't ball, you got to go to rehab.
Wow, that's funny.
Right, so it's cool, man. But that's a great question.
One more, though, because it came up on Twitter when they showing old Calgary games. Best Calgary team you played on?
2010.
No? What's that?
10? 2010.
Okay, so you were quick. Easy.
I don't think it's even – I think the 2014 team maximizes talent the most.
Yeah,
like when you look at our talent, we really maximized who we were and what we had.
Sure.
A lot of our guys were older at that time. Like, I was older. I was hurt that whole year. There was days I could barely do walkthrough. Who else? Yeah, Charleston was older. A lot of our guys were older, but when I look at 2010, you had Brandon Browner, Lenny Wall. Brandon Browner was the boundary corner. Lenny Wall's the boundary half. We had Milt Collins at safety, Dwight Anderson at field corner, Brandon Smith at field half, and you had Keon at Sam. We had Clay, Tom Johnson, who just retired last year from the NFL after that. So we had like an 8-9 year NFL stint after this. You had Charleston. Man, so many guys on that defense. And then offensively, our best probably collective year, I had over 1,200. Romby and Rambo both had almost 1,200. Romby had 15 touchdowns. Joffrey had like 13 touchdowns and 1,300 yards rushing. Cornish had over 500, 600 yards rushing. Hank had 500 yards rushing. And Hank didn't play the second half the last 4 games.
Yeah.
Right. So
when you look at it, a lot.
Yeah, when you look at the whole team structure of how we were actually built, Cote was balling, Thelwell, we had so many guys that were just, and it was just clockwork. We started out 9-1, and then the wheels kind of fell off a little bit, but we put it back on. But that blizzard and just a couple decisions against SAS and 10 that cost us, and just like you said, man, it's those are the hard ones. When you look back, that's the hard part. You look back, that's the hard thing to swallow, right? It's I feel like team-wise, we underachieved. You know what I'm saying? In Calgary, in 11 years, I had 2 losing seasons, I believe. My first one in 2007. Right? And it's and if you look up, I looked up the whole totals. Since, I think in the decade or since 2008 through last year, I believe it was, Calgary's won 155 games or something like that. And the closest person to them has 102. That's 3.5 seasons more of winning than the closest team to them. Right? And there's 2 teams, there's 3 or 4 teams under 100 wins.
I bet, yeah.
Right? So when you look at the whole scheme, it's dude, we did all this winning, and then when the money was on the line, we came up short. And, in football, you don't always get the opportunity to make the play or to change the tide or do those things. And, I mean, I guess it is what it is. But yeah, I'm glad. I tell you what, when I look back on it, man, being a Division II walk-on and doing what I did, one of the biggest things I take with it is I looked around early and I was like, I want to show people I belong here. And to be able to take the field with the guys I took the field with and to have the fun we had on the field, off the field, and to enjoy that 100%. 100%. Like, can't make it up. You can't script it. It's just you think back to the fun times, the laughing times on the sidelines, the crazy times in the locker room, and it's always just a joy to go back and reminisce sometimes about some of these things. Do you miss it at all?
I'll always say that. Like, I'll always miss the competition, and like you said, those stories and those memories that pop up. Like when they showed the 14 Grey Cup a couple weeks ago. I mean, it just takes you back to that time in life. Like for me, that was my first. Like I had won 3 conference championships in college, but that was my first like real championship where it was like, like it felt like everything you put into it or everything you worked for it, I had finally paid off. So
yeah,
but and you look back on it, it went by so fast.
So fast.
Think about it, like so fast. So I'll always miss the competition, but no, do I want to go? I'm not outside running routes thinking I can make a comeback or thinking I can play 2 more games. Like, nah. And last year in Hamilton, when I came back for them 2 months, I was like, I'm done. My body's done. So I'm cool with that because I think I got out of my body everything I could.
Yeah.
I'm happy with it. Like I said, I always miss competition. Like, but I'll play cards, I'll play whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that's just me. But I always have love for the game. Like,
I'm 100% with you.
I love being around it, right? So.
Yeah, that was the best part about coaching last year. I enjoyed using my mind and coaching last year over using my body. Right, to teach something and then go watch it done.
Right.
To go watch a guy hop step in the hole and get out of there. And to go do some of the things that those guys were able to do last year, that's the joy. And I'm looking forward to see what you can do, man. You're gonna have such a great impact on those receivers because I know your competitiveness and I know you're gonna raise the bar, right? You're gonna do it with intensity and effort, and those guys are gonna be hitting on all cylinders, man. I'm looking forward to watching y'all ball out, man. So regardless, I'm gonna be in the stands. If I'm the only one, I'll be there. So I appreciate your time, Quay. I really do, brother. I know you don't talk much. You don't do many interviews, and I appreciate you taking an hour and a half to do this with me, man. This is probably the most you talked in a while. I know in the meetings with Dave be talking. I know don't nobody else be talking that much because Dave just be talking. Dave talks so much, he'll tell you, like you said, no, Dave, you've been saying that. I ain't said shit. And you keep saying like you said.
I just sit back and listen.
No, but that's awesome, man. That's good.
All good, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm here anytime you need me. So that's just what it is.
Appreciate it, brother. Well, you have a great one.
All right. Be safe, man.
Boomerang out this thing. Hey, shout out to Cowboys while we're here, man. We coming back. Cowboys nightclub, casino in Calgary. Boomerang, just different. If you want to save 35% on all your future travel, hit your boy up. I'll send you a link. It's 100% free for you, too, to access it. But you need me to send you a link for it. Holla at your boy. This is the LewLewLounge. Quay, what's up, baby? I'll holla at y'all.
All right, holla.